Hey, welcome to day 30 of 31 Days of Essential Oils. Ooh, I'm going to miss doing these. Actually, I'm going to keep doing these or something similar. Um, but I just want to welcome those who just joined in and invite you to take a look at some of the other videos and just to be upfront and just say that this information comes from 30 years of experience of working with the oils from a symptom relief basis and making important modifications that because the whole point to my methodology is stabilization. More important, more that's to me is the biggest thing. And like I said, it's 30 years of working with these. I do have a background in pharmacology, and I do focus on the study of plant constituents as they affect the genome, influence human health, as well as drug development. And that's very significant, specifically because a lot of these oils are well, they will interact with medications. And the reason for that is because, for the most part, nearly every chemical that we consume, whether we're drinking it, eating it, breathing it, putting it on our skin, that's all consumption. And no matter what chemical, for the again, the most part, most of them are cleared through the liver, which means they have to be metabolized, broken down, and to secondary metabolites that either get used further by the body or eliminated. And the challenge that we're facing is we're getting too many chemicals for a number of reasons. And I'll just briefly say here that this has a lot to do with the fact that various plant constituents increase tissue permeability, and the scientists recognize this. This is being built into the products that we're getting, a lot of our personal care products. And so for anybody who is actually using essential oils in addition to other body care products, as well as taking supplements, they are getting a lot of rapid absorption, which is going to overwhelm and stress the body. And that's the whole point to this. In fact, I'm actually going back to school now to be able to get myself involved in research so that I can begin publishing peer-reviewed works to really demonstrate what I'm saying here. So again, I've devoted a good portion of my life already, but now I'm just going to go get the paperwork to prove it. In the meantime, I offer it here because we have these oils available to us, and my goal really is safety and wellness. And I want everyone to get the most out of the oils. I absolutely love the oils. However, I've changed the way I personally use them. I changed the way I recommend them to people. And again, it is based all on stability. So if you're new, thank you for joining in and welcome. And like I said, go back and take a look at some of the other videos. You will hear things that you won't see other places because best way I can describe it, and I understand it, is that people don't want to lose access to these oils. And I get that. I mean, I respect that. And I feel like if we can begin to educate as many people who are interested in it as possible to integrate in a different way of using the oils so that they get the best results and safely. And it doesn't take the place of your doctor's recommendation. It doesn't take the place of your medications, although in some cases, depending on the issue, it could very well help you get off of medications, but that's your determination. For those of you who have been here with me through this, thank you very much. I've appreciated everything that you've shared. And you've continued to, your enthusiasm has just really fostered this entire journey. So thank you again. So yes, we are here at day 30, and I want to talk a little bit about Myrtle Green. Just a reminder that there's blog posts going up over on my website, synergessence.com. There's a link in the description box just for to remain in integrity. Just so you know, as I have been saying, that I've kind of taken it slower, primarily because there's a lot of research that goes into these written pieces, and they are not the same as what I talk about here. There's significant differences, and it has a lot more focus around the individual constituents and why there's some theories out there about why things are estrogenic or not estrogenic, and really beginning to look at the difference in the chemicals that make up an essential oil, or I should say chemical compounds like phenols, and terpenes and so forth, alcohols, ketones. So anyway, that gets discussed in the blog, and that may not be, I do the best I can. It is technical. I do the best I can to make it as relatable and understandable as possible, because I want it to be usable, I guess is the best way I want to say it. It is usable. So on that note, I am talking about Myrtle Green. Like I said, there are different types of myrtle. Um, Commonly purchased are lemon myrtle and Myrtle Green, but I am selecting Myrtle Green for this one basically because of the way I've used it, and the overall, how do I want to say, influence it has on the body, which is hormonal. It definitely has a direct influence on the hormonal system. I've used it primarily with folks who are having a lot of respiratory issues. And I'm not just talking about colds. And although it's very good for colds and allergies, sinus congestion, um, respiratory issues, coughs especially. The way I'm just thinking about how I know this to work in the system, and I'm trying to make sure that I can state it here. A lot of times with coughs, even if there's congestion, it doesn't have to be a dry cough. It doesn't have to be a productive cough, but ordinarily it's more of a productive cough. But in either case, when it's a chronic cough, we'll just put it that way, I wouldn't necessarily use myrtle for a dry cough. I will say that much. So let's just focus here on the productive cough that is chronic. It's ongoing. Maybe it's related to allergies. Maybe it's year-round allergies, right? Other times, these types of coughs involve blood pressure. Or you could be taking a blood pressure medication, more specifically, like like the angiotensin 2 ACE inhibitors. Those are the kind that I'm talking about. I can't think of the names off the top of my head right now. Lisinopril is an example of what I'm talking about. But sometimes those, whether the person is beginning to have issues with blood pressure and there's no medications involved, or they're already taking these kinds of medications, blood pressure can have an influence on this type of chronic cough like I'm talking about. And the reason it gets congested like it does is because there's a direct relationship between nitric oxide synthase and alterations that have occurred on that gene complex that affect both the cardiovascular and the respiratory systems. When nitric oxide levels drop, histamine levels go up. This is in direct proportion to the amount of stress, whether it be mental, emotional, and more specifically environmental. Okay, so we start to see these histamine levels go up. There's more, there's more fluid, right? Congestion. And so this is where these kinds of coughs, so that becomes an aggravant. And so myrtle actually is very beneficial for that. And that's the reason why it's also very significant with the hormonal system, because it actually helps to offset these alterations that have occurred to the nitric oxide synthase, and especially when you combine it with other particular oils that have a more stronger or an equal influence or a little bit more stronger influence on nitric oxide synthase, you can begin to rectify this instability, so that the cough subsides, that the nitric oxide levels begin to come up, because this is actually very, very beneficial for men. I will say that much. I've seen actually this kind of issue more so in men than I have in women, because nitric oxide, say hello to Theo. Hey, Theo. You're a good boy. He's an Akita Sharpei mix, so he's very loyal and very gentle. He's a gentle giant. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's not to say that this wouldn't affect a woman also, but the fact is that when nitric oxide goes down, there's an issue now with testosterone and prostate health. So this also helps improve prostate health. It would be very beneficial for gentlemen who are living with erectile dysfunction as well, for that reason. because erectile dysfunction is a vascular issue. And remember, we just said nitric oxide goes down, histamine levels go up, it causes cardiovascular and respiratory issues. And cardiovascular also does involve the function of male genitals, so the boy parts. So it would be very helpful. So it's a good oil for that. I'm just wanting to say that, if it's a chronic issue, if you've come to that point, that kind of symptom, or these types of symptoms, there's not, especially, you can continue using this one. This one doesn't have as many concerns about sticking with it, especially if you begin to change out other oils. Especially if these issues are chronic, whether it be the ED or the cough or blood pressure, that would be very helpful with reducing blood pressure. But again, paired with other oils would make a huge difference in an individual's life. And once you start to see these symptoms subside, then you're going to want to back off on the myrtle a little bit. But because I've been, as you probably know, if you've been here, I will tell you that you only want to use so many, certain oils for so long, and then you want to change them out. In this particular case, because this has such an overall effect on the hormonal system, I would suggest that you could use it if you mixed it with other oils. That would make it an overall consistent, help support the changes that are going to be occurring as you're using the oils. Sorry, I kind of stumbled over my words there. But those are primarily the most significant uses for myrtle greenwood. Like I said, for allergies, sinus issues, definitely colds. I wouldn't necessarily use it for the flu unless there's a lot of congestion and coughing, and then it will actually help relieve the spasms in the throat and really kind of help sedate the body so that it can relax in order to overcome the healing crisis, right? And again, for the coughs, the chronic productive coughs, and the blood pressure. Now, it doesn't, as far as I know, I'd have to double check it for you. But as far as I know, there's not any conflicts with the blood pressure meds, but I would double check that and actually put that in the blog. The other thing I wanted to say here for anybody just tuning in, besides thanking you for being here, and maybe for those of you, I may not have said it, I thought I did, and if I didn't, I just want to make sure that I do say it here, that I have a closed Facebook group that I originally started as a course, a paid course, but now it's essentially, I'm opening it up to anybody who wants to be a part of it. It is a closed group, however, because of any discussions that go on. When we start talking about health, I would prefer that it be undiscoverable. And so that's the reason why. So I need to know if you want to be added to that group. I'm happy to add you in. There's a lot of content already that's not here on YouTube, and it's not on my website. So there's a lot more that you can have access to there. And in addition to that, I determined this morning that what I want to do regarding oils is I really want to get very specific for anybody who's interested. I mean, I can put it out here on YouTube, but I don't necessarily know that everybody wants to know as much about oils as somebody else. Like I love knowing everything about them and how they benefit us, like I was just talking with Myrtle. So I'm going to get even more detailed in the group, and the more discussions that we have, the more information I just can think of. I'll just share, because it's kind of hard to think of everything all at one time. So thank you very much for being here with me, and let me know if you have any questions. And I will follow up. So tomorrow is the last day, 31, and but I'm going to actually do a recap. So there will be one video after this in this series that will kind of recap and summarize my entire philosophy around oils and hopefully inspire others to join in. All right. Thanks, you guys. You take care and have a great day.